Welcome to the In My Opinion show with Ronald Berry Robinson and friends, seen on the internet 24 hours, 7 days a week. To view, please access flinttalkradio.com and scroll to the In My Opinion show to view the latest in internet television. Our shows are also seen on Flint, Michigan Comcast Television, Cable, Channel 17, every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. and on Saturdays at 6 p.m. This show is also seen on Comcast Channel 68, Detroit, Michigan, 7 days a week. Welcome. We have a distinguished guest in our midst today. It is my pleasure to introduce Pastor Tonya Bailey of the Hands of God Ministry. And in addition, Pastor Bailey is an instructor at the University of Michigan, Flint. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Denise. I'm so happy to be here. This is such a joy. I've heard wonderful things about this great show, and if you haven't been watching, today's the day to keep watching. So that's a shameless plug, but I love it.
That's right. That's right. Well, listen, Pastor Bailey, we're going to get right into our discussion. Sure. But for our viewing audience, we'd like to give them a little background about you. So would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I, first of all, am a Flint native. Born and raised here, went to Flint schools and also to Powers High School. Okay. Graduated from Flint Northwestern, so I'm an NDub fan. And I have always had a passion for this great city. I went to school at the University of Evansville in Indiana, and I found my way coming back to Flint to take what I learned in college and put it to use for my community. No matter where and how many offers I get to move away, I find myself coming back to Flint because this is really where it's at.
And great. So that is great. Because so many people, once yes. they get their education or whatever, they move on and they say, okay, I'm going to come back to visit, but I'm not staying.
No, you know what? Because I believe that there is great treasures here in Flint. We've had so many firsts come out of Flint. We've had so many wonderful things happen in this city. And yes, there's been some hard times that we've experienced, but I believe that Flint is a true treasure. I found out that it's a test market for some of the largest corporations in the United States, and so they test their products out in here in Flint before they test anywhere else. That says something about Flint. Call me crazy, but call me a Flintstone.
Okay. All right. Okay. A Flintstone it is.
Flintstone it is. And so I've loved living here. I've enjoyed raising my family here. I'm a mother of 8 children. Yes.
Oh my.
I'm happily married. My husband is a Flintstone too. He is Levy Bailey, Pastor Levy Bailey II, and he and I enjoy being here in this great city. We find great pleasure. I'm also employed at the University of Michigan Flint, as you shared, and I enjoy being a program manager over 2 college programs there. And then also I'm a lecturer in our English department. So Flint is my home, and everything that I do is right here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, you are extremely busy and have a family, a large family of that to contend with. So do I see an S on your sweatshirt over there?
No, not the Superwoman, but I tell you what, some days I feel like I'm going into a phone booth and coming out something else because my life is busy. In addition to that, I'm a licensed realtor. And have been for the last 10 years. I'm looking to open up my own real estate company here in 2012, so keep your eyes out for TCB Realty on the way.
All right. Wonderful.
I just love doing things in the community and staying as active as I can be.
Excellent, excellent. Well, tell me this. Now, you know, again, I know that you're wearing many hats, but just tell me a little bit more about your involvement. You are a pastor, and I'm a co-pastor with your husband.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about that.
Well, back in 1995, my husband received a vision from the Lord to start Hand of God Ministries. And of course, that was some time ago, and we stepped out on faith back in 2010, just a year ago, and obeyed the instructions of the Lord. We asked the Lord, where should we plant this ministry? Where should it start? And he gave us downtown Flint. And so we were combing the downtown Flint area looking for a location, and we landed at the Capitol Theater building. And boy, is that a historic place for the city of Flint.
Yes.
And so we began Hannah God Ministries on February 6th of last year. So very, very excited. And he is the senior pastor, and I'm a pastor with him. We have a growing congregation, about 280 members right now.
Wonderful.
And it's a multicultural ministry, international ministry. We have several people there from different countries and different backgrounds. And it is a melting pot of these United States and more. We love it. It's a family-oriented ministry. Okay. We believe in building up the family. Our theme, if we could say that, is to be real, relevant, and relational. We have come from various different backgrounds in terms of our religious practices, but this ministry is about people. Okay. And it's about building up our community, one family, one person at a time. And so Hannah God Ministries is thriving.
Wonderful.
Our doors are open to all,
okay.
and we really, really have been enjoying this great journey.
Wonderful. Wow. So downtown Flint.
Yes.
So for those who are not familiar with Flint, why don't you tell the address of?
Oh, absolutely. 600 Harrison Street. We are on the corner of 2nd and Harrison, right inside the Capitol building. And we are directly across from the MTA bus station, so you have no excuse for not coming.
Yes,
right in line,
catch
the bus, jump off the bus, and jump right into our doors. Very warm environment. We have ministries for everyone, from our youth. They have pretty much a full educational program for our youth in terms of language, in terms of studying the Bible, understanding their role and their place in this world and what God says about them. We have so many different services for women, and we do an outreach every 5th Sunday. In fact, at our 5th Sunday outreach, we give away clothes and food and begin to minister to those in need and give educational classes out to those on those days. And we comb the neighborhoods in the downtown area, sharing love and, most importantly, inspiration.
Wonderful. Absolutely. That is
it's a lot going on, right?
A lot going on.
We're happy about it.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so now tell me, if we're going to flip the script, if we will.
Okay, sure.
And tell us a little bit about what you're doing over at U of M.
Wow, yes. So that hat, I've been at the University of Michigan Flint really since 1997.
Okay.
I started working and doing some summer teaching for a program they had there, and just fell in love with the institution and the school. And so I am a program coordinator. I'm a grant writer, so I've written several grants that specifically work with students who are in need of support services. And so one of the programs I have there is called an Access Program. It's Access to College and Careers through Excellence with Student Services. And it's a grant-funded program through the state of Michigan. Very excited about that. It provides a conglomerate of services for students attending U of M Flint, allowing them to get help in areas such as study skills, time management, being able to get their career selection on track, work with them on their academic support services, and so much more. The other program is called the Challenge Program, and if there are students that are looking at U of M but feel as if, you know what, I don't know if I have the grades, there is a program, it's an alternate admissions program called Challenge that would allow you to apply, and if you're selected, you are there for 1 year academic probation, that you will get services, support, and make sure not just your first year you're successful, but years afterwards. And so I'm proud to work with those programs and work with those students in that capacity. And then, if that didn't do it for me, I had to get into the classroom and started teaching. So Denise, you know me, I'm an educator at heart, and
yes.
I came up with this crazy idea to talk about developing a class that would help particularly first-year students deal with their sexuality and being able to talk about their growth in that area in a class forum. And so I wrote a course called Let's Talk About Sex and HIV and AIDS. And boy, are my classes packed every semester. Yes. You would be surprised because it's an education course. I co-teach with some really, really fantastic professors there. One from English, Dr. Ken, and one from biology, Dr. Sanders. And we make a perfect blend in talking to our young people about the dangers of not having the right information when it comes to safe sex or safer sex, and also educating them on a very, very serious disease that is plaguing particularly the African American community more than any other community. And so this class does a lot, and we get them engaged. It's a service learning attached to the class, so our students are out in the community developing projects that allow them to educate young people, old people, in our community at large about what it means to be a responsible individual and what this disease is doing and how we can prevent it. So that's just
that's amazing.
That's a mouthful.
Amazing. It really is. And I guess one thing that kind of struck me as you were talking about that. Now, as a pastor, a minister,
yes,
how do you reconcile speaking about the sexuality? How do you do that?
Yeah, well, I call it cussing.
You call it cussing?
Cussing. We're just cussing when we say sex, because in so many institutions of churches, we don't discuss real things and real topics. And we're finding that a lot of our youth are being turned away because we're not talking about the real issues that are facing our community. At Hannah God Ministry, and just as a pastor, I am passionate about education. And education is not just book smarts, but it's also street smarts. It's also being able to talk about what it means to keep your body safe, and what it means as you're turning into different emotions as you're growing as a grown adult. And because throughout the world, AIDS and HIV has so impacted our community and our world, we cannot keep it a secret any longer. Pastors have a unique role, I think, in society, and that is the role of educating. And we have a captivated audience every week, every Sunday at least. So why not educate and why not share? And some pastors won't even touch this subject. You know me, Denise. I'm a risk taker.
Yes.
I'm a risk taker. I'm going to talk about it because it will do us good if we talk about it instead of hiding it in the closet. And so I have began to be a champion or an advocate for this subject. And I want to use my God-given talent to talk about the things that other communities might not be talking about. I believe that we're better together. And if we can have forums such as this and productions and shows such as this to get the word out that we need to be having this conversation about the stop of this disease, the spread of this disease in our homes, in our churches, in our relationships, then that's just one thing that I can do.
Oh, that is so awesome. And, and it's just amazing that you're able to, I guess, departmentalize, if you will,
yes,
to have that as well as the grant writing aspect of your job, yes, and the program management part of your job.
Yes.
And I wanted to go back to, because I had a couple of questions, sure, about that, because I was thinking about some of the students, particularly the students here in Flint.
Yes.
We have an issue with not being able to engage them enough to come over to the university.
Yes.
And I was wondering how you were talking about, you're doing this program, and
yes,
how successful has that been in terms of getting, the people here in Flint to engage?
Well, in terms of my class, of course, students that are enrolled at U of M Flint, they're encouraged through advising to take certain classes. But as far as our city goes, there are so many different resources out there. I think about Big Brothers and Big Sisters, which I sit on the board of directors for that, and how they're reaching out to match young men and young women up with a mentor, a big, as we call it,
right,
so that they can have a mentor, especially for women and men who are single parents. So there are so many different services out in the city of Flint. We find it hard to get those services connected to the right community members that really need them the most. I think forums such as, in my opinion, is doing an excellent job at being able to reach out to share these avenues. But it's tough. Denise. It's tough. I think there are so many different services that go underutilized every year, and so many grant dollars not really used to their potential because the community is either ill-informed or not able to connect in the way that they should. I want to be a bridge for that. And I think that's why my hands are in so many different pots without being burnt, within so many different pots of doing that. But the response for our community is this. We want services that are going to impact our youth. We want strong leadership in our community that can get the services and levy the resources that Flint so very much needs. We want that. Flint is crying out. And we have a responsibility as pastors, as mothers, as women, as men, to take on that responsibility and say, we will do something about it. You might be, and this is just a soapbox moment, I guess, you might be saying, well, I don't have the resources. I'm not on a board of directors of anything, but you have a neighborhood that you can reach. You have a family member. You have a youngster in your life. I know it. And you can do your part. Connect them with services that will get them the service and the things that they need to be successful. We can do that. Absolutely. I'm on a mission that every person in this particular region of Flint, they can go to college. They can get into a vocational school. They can go into a skills trade. We just have to do more reaching out instead of looking down.
Oh, yes. My position is you're looking down as you're reaching down to pull them up.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yes.
If you're going to reach down, look down, reach down and pull it back up.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's still great hope for our city.
Okay. So we're talking about your experiences, but let me ask you, and I think you kind of tied it in terms of some of the accomplishments that you've made, but I wanted you to kind of expound on you, particularly your accomplishments here in this community.
Wow, you know what? My father-in-law had this saying at a celebration for him during his retirement, and I said, I'm going to steal that. And that phrase was, I'm outstanding and improving. And so in spite of my you can borrow that, Denise.
Okay.
In spite of my accomplishments, you know, I really believe that I'm still improving. There are things. I was honored last year by the Your Center and the great staff of Bettina Campbell, Executive Director of the Your Center, who specialize in research and education services for HIV and AIDS and all the wonderful things that they do. Kudos to you guys. They acknowledged me as a hero, and I received the Hero Award, and I thought, wow, that's an amazing accomplishment, but I got to do more. Not satisfied. I have been able to start a class, as I mentioned before. I am a part of a grant that the Your Center just received through the Mott Foundation, the C.S. Ruth Mott Foundation, where myself and my husband will be pastoral advocates. And we'll be going around to the local churches, encouraging leadership there to allow programs that the Your Center has concerning their initiatives to educate those in the religious communities. And we're not just stopping at one denomination. We're hitting all 600 churches in Flint that will let us in to set up an educational program and to encourage their leadership and their clergy as well as their youth involved in how we can be educated in this area and fight against HIV and AIDS spreading.
Wow.
And so that's just some of the things I got my hands in.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But of course, there's more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm telling you, you're an inspiration to many.
Thanks.
But I know that with the upside, there's also a downside. Sure. And I wanted you to kind of touch, too, on some of maybe the major challenges surrounding your position as an instructor, such as, diversity.
Sure.
And with the student population. Could you talk about that some?
Well, there's always a challenge, for every level that you have in leadership, there's always going to be opposition. My husband and I were talking about this concerning diversity with different cultures that are in the Flint community and what is being done for them. So we've developed something that's coming. This is the first time it's been heard, so peek up your ears.
Absolutely.
We're developing something at our ministry called ICE, and it stands for International Culture Exchange. And we're going to do something called ICE Wednesdays, where we bring in students and other cultures in our community, to talk about their home, to elaborate, and they'll get a 30-minute spotlight to either cook, to either share photos or just to educate on their particular culture. And it's a hope that these bringing together of cultures will somehow break down some of the barriers that plague our community in terms of diversity. So we're not sizing up a particular culture by what media or Hollywood has depicted in a movie, but we're hearing it firsthand from someone from that particular culture sharing this. So that's something that we're going to be bringing to the downtown area right at our church. It will be open to the community, and we're hoping that that small piece of information and educational sharing will somehow do its part in bridging the gap from the college level to our community fellows, that they will come together and share what they have. And then in the same token, those that were Flint raised or American born raised, that they will share the experiences that they have. And so we're hoping that our ICE culture exchange will be something that the community will take advantage of, and just our way of saying this is one thing that we can do to make a difference. In the classroom, there's always going to be some challenges. We have students that are now going to college, but they're ill prepared. And they're not ready for the rigors of the college level services. And so it's our job as instructors, it's our job as educators to do our part to work with our K-12 system before they get to college, and begin to work with our youngsters to, number one, let them know that there is a future, a brighter future ahead of you, and we can make it work. Our reading and our test scores in Genesee County is devastating. And they're not up to par statewide. We have to get back, for those that have retired, come out of retirement, wherever you are, come out of retirement and begin to tutor, begin to go into these classrooms and read and help and do your part. There's always going to be a struggle, but as long as there are people like Denise Allen, and there's people, yes, Denise Allen, as long as there are crazy people like Pastor Tonya Bailey that believes anything is possible, each one can reach one.
Right.
There are resources available, and everybody has to do their part.
Absolutely. Well, that was well said. And I can tell you that I often think about this pipeline that we have, and it's, starts around the fourth grade, where we've got so many of our young, particularly African American males, that are destined to go off to prison, and we want to stop that and offer them something else. And so by way of education, and I was looking at a Jet magazine before I left the house today, and Spike Lee was on the cover, and he was talking about ignorance isn't cute.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Ignorance is not cute. I love it.
I was like, yes, and that is so true. So you have got your hands full.
I do.
I understand that you've got a wonderful event coming up this coming February. So
oh
please,
my goodness. Thank you for bringing that up.
Tell us about it.
So Hand of God Ministries, although it seems like we've been around for years, we are celebrating our 1-year anniversary on February the 4th and the 5th. It's a Saturday and a Sunday. And because our ministry is so focused on the community, we're doing it in 2 parts. On Saturday, February the 4th at 6 o'clock, we want everybody to show up for our community charity gala that we're putting on. And it's going to be a New Creation. I'm going to look at my notes. New Creation Fellowship Hall. And their address is 3472 Lennon Road. Beautiful facility. And they have a wonderful banquet room that we're going to be just taking over. It's at 6 o'clock on February the 4th. The tickets are $25 or 2 for $40. And if you just don't have it, get a hold of me through this show, and I'll make sure you're there. It's a great time. We're going to be rolling out the things that we're doing through a community development corporation we have called PAPAS. And Denise, I'm so excited about that. PAPAS is an acronym for Pick a Place and Start. Okay,
oh my goodness. You've got a few acronyms, boy.
Pick a Place and Start is PAPAS. It's our community development corporation that God gave my husband and I. And it has a conglomerate of services, some of the things that we've been talking about today. And so this gala is a charity to help raise funds for PAPAS. And we're going to be sharing with the community that night all the things that PAPAS is going to do. One of those things is develop a PAPAS housing. where we will have several different houses projects around the city of Flint and in Genesee County, where we will give you a house for sweat equity. I know you think the mics are bad or you just misheard that, but no, sweat equity.
Sweat equity.
Where you can live in a property for a certain period of time while you get on your feet, you and your family, in exchange for beautifying your community, your block. That's just one.
Sure, people want to come to this so they can hear more about
exactly
that program.
That. And then we have Minstrels, a performing arts institute. If you have a youngster or you yourself want to learn piano, dance, tap, mime, vocal, drama, acting, we have services available through Minstrels. It's going to be a 6-week session. We have skilled instructors, and it's only $10 a week to go. And there are discounts and scholarships available. It's just a wonderful, wonderful program. We have a mentoring program that we've developed called Seeds to Success. A former police officer is heading that up, Mr. Claxton, and he is really serious about helping our young men stay out of the track from their home into prison. And so there are going to be a lot of different information rolled out at the gala. And then Sunday, 4 o'clock on February the 5th, we're going to celebrate big time and just be thankful. There's going to be the mayor. There's so many community people are going to be there to celebrate at 4 o'clock at Hannah God Ministry. You don't want to miss it.
Wonderful.
Don't want to miss it.
Okay. Well, we're about ready to wrap up our show, but I would like to thank you, Pastor Bailey, for joining us today. And I think maybe you might want to just leave that telephone number or contact number so that we can get a hold of you.
I would love to. Please reach out to us today at 810-766-9278. 766-9278, area code 810. We would love for you to partner with us in all the things that we're doing for our community, and we would love to hear from you.
All right. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
This has been the In My Opinion show with your host, Denise Smith Allen. Have a good night, and remember to stay focused.